Yo, what up? It's Corey with Reedy River Goods. This is my workshop. This is my YouTube channel. I am a leather crafter. I've had an Etsy shop for a number of years, and I wanted to start putting out some stuff to help other folks out who may just be starting. When I first started, I had a tough time finding somebody I could really connect with and follow, and so I'm hoping to put some stuff together that does exactly that for a small percentage of the population. That is annoying. Do you see that? I should have shut that, huh? It's a mess. I welcome you into my office and it's a mess. But it's all right. So I have been carrying for about, I don't know, a year or two. I've been carrying a little card holder. I don't really have anywhere for cash. Not that I ever have cash in my pocket, but I wanted a new wallet. So I made one. But I wanted to start designing some new ones for my Etsy shop, just so I could kind of have a different variety. I've made kind of your standard billfold for a while now, and so I wanted to get a little bit different and start creating and designing my own. So I do have a pattern we'll walk through tonight. I would say tonight. You might be watching this in the morning. It's tonight for me. But I do have a new pattern. It's pretty easy, I think. I think it's a very easy leather pattern, and I'm hoping I can share it and you can make yourself something. But here's what I got. It's a pretty cool, unique design, I think. So it works. There's a vertical and a horizontal. And when there's both, I don't have to explain which one is which. But anyway, you got one here, and then you have the inverse on the other side. So be just like that. Got a flap on the inside, flap on the inside. Now with this one, I wanted something a little bit more substantial. And so I went with, this is a chrome tan leather from Newberry, South Street, something along those lines. South Street, it's a 4.5 to 5 ounce leather, so it is pretty thick. This is about 1/2 inch thick with no cards in it. Because you're dividing them up, it's not going to be quite as thick as you would your normal bifold, billfold coming together. So you can spread your cards out a little bit, but it does hang out a little bit outside the wallet. But I want something bigger, something I could carry. I throw it in my console whenever I go anywhere. I always not going to leave it. Actually, I left it the other night, unfortunately. But one of the things, so this was my prototype. I just made it. I just kind of wanted to work on the sizing, see what I liked, see what I didn't like. Wanted to start carrying it. I do love the leather. This is only about maybe a week's worth of patina, which is kind of cool. And it really, I kind of like the scratches and stuff that it shows. I wanted to make it to where I could hold cash in there. And it is wide enough, but it doesn't go in that easy, right? So it can fit. I feel like I'm having to wrinkle it up in there. So if you see here, it does fit, but it is pretty tight, especially once you account for the 1/8 of an inch on either side. And so for this one we're doing tonight, I am going to extend it a little bit. And also, you can see these two lines right here. When I initially measured, my card came just a little early, and maybe you can see. Well, it's like a fraction of an inch off right here. But it kind of just folded off a little bit, and I didn't like that. So I'm also going to lengthen it this way and lengthen it this way. So it's not much. It's still just going to be small fractions. But yeah, here it is. Here's kind of a new design prototype that I had. So I want to share it with you today. Again, this one is a little bit heftier. You can kind of choose which leather you want. I was looking through a pile and I had this wonderful whiskey colored Boudreaux vegetable tan, and it is like a 3.5 ounce. So this will be the difference between about a 4.5 to 5 ounce leather and a 3.5 to 4 ounce leather, which I think this will still make a great wallet. And this one I'm actually going to put in my Etsy shop. So I wanted to make it out of some really nice leather. This one was some scraps I had left over from some of my recent projects, my portfolios that I had completed recently. So this is like just enough for this project. So I'm going to finish up this Boudreaux leather, and hopefully we can make something something special. So here we go. Let's get into it. I have started, things have been going real well around here. So I started making patterns on some cereal boxes. Now think about this for the irony of it. I got Reese's Puffs. Who do you think those are for? And then grape nuts. Those are drastic opposites. Regardless, one will keep you regular and one won't make you feel too good. Anyway, these work great for patterns. I was buying cardboard and I threw out, I do recycle. I recycled so many of these boxes recently. I said, shoot, those will work out really well. So I made some patterns with them. But let's get into it. Let's make this pattern and then let's make this wallet. All right. So one of the cool things I like about this, and this is something I want to start doing, but was adding kind of a different stitch in here, just something unique. I was going to do this in some wild color, but I figured just go brown on brown for the meantime. But yeah, I wanted to add this in there as just a unique feature. I really like the look of it when, proud of it when I open it up and all. But again, this one is much, much thicker at a 4.5, 5-ounce leather. But today, here we go. This is super, super easy. We got some rectangles, and we can make this thing easy enough. So to start with, your back panel. You see here, it's just one piece of leather on the back. So all you need is one panel on the back. It is going to be, you just get I usually just use a square, get my measurements, but we're going to go 7 inches by 7 3/4 inches. 7 inches by 7 3/4 inches. I have, and I use this, so I got this little edge from Buckle Guy, and it gives me all the different, so there's like an inch corner, 0.25, 0.5, and 0.75. So for this project, I use the 0.75 edge. If you don't have one of these, use a nickel, use a quarter, use a penny, whatever you like, to give you the desired edge. I really like this, these edges it does. You can put it on your pattern or you can just cut the leather directly. You're probably going to have to put this on anyway afterwards. I just like to line up my patterns with the edge already on there. So as you can see, I've already kind of drawn them on here just for later. But this is our panel, 7 inches, 7 3/4. Let's move on. So this one, you're going to need 2 of these. So let's put it times 2. So this one is our inside panel right here. And we're going to sew this panel into it. So here is our leather inside panel, leather inside panel. Obviously, we want these to be the same size here. So that's going to be 7 inches. And then these are going to be 3 1/4 inches at the top, which just happens to coincide with the top over here. And so 7 inches by 3 1/4 inch. And you're going to need 2 of those. If you want to cut out 4, that might work too. Reason being, I just use this pattern right here, this same rectangle, and then I cut this bottom pattern. And let me show you how I did that. All right, so from this rectangle, what we did here, if you want to draw 4 of them, that's fine. Then you can make this next piece out of them. For your pattern, you only need 1, but for your leather, you're going to need 2. I took an old wallet pattern that I had, and I just basically traced it onto there and gave myself a little bit more space for that dollar that I was talking about earlier that couldn't fit as well. So this is 2 1/8 from bottom to top right here, and this will be let's see, my card holder for here. So you see, even with this unique kind of stitch, you're going to have space here, you'll have space here, and you'll have space here for that stitch line, and that'll still be covered in there pretty well. And then so from this edge, you're going to go over 3 and make a straight line across the middle, and then this will house this card. And that, again, you can see you'll have plenty of space there. What I did these about from the 3-inch mark. These are spaced out 1/4 inch a piece, and that'll give us that enough space to make it look nice and do that unique stitching we have here on the middle, the little cross stitch in here. So that'll look nice. And Again, do you have to do that? No, it's just kind of an added piece that I did. You could do rivets, you could just do a straight stitch. However you want to make that happen, that's just fine. But this is 3/4, or excuse me, 3¼ inches high, as is this rectangle. So those should be identical. This the identical length at 7 inches. And then from here, again, the highest point is 2 1/8. And I made that mark about 3. Let's see what size that is. And so that is 2 1/8 all the way up. So this is actually even right here. 2 1/8 and 2 1/8. And then I made that. You can kind of make these designs as you want. I would just probably cut this straight and then make whatever design I need in there. It looks like I need to clean this piece up. But however you need to make that piece, whatever your standard on, you could even do a straight line here and then do something lined here. As long as you have enough to hold your card horizontally and enough to hold it vertically. That's really what you want to do. So sometimes people have a different preference in those. I just kind of like these shapes. And all I did was carry this sideways and kind of get my shape going down this way too. So it's nothing crazy, but I think it gives a nice unique look. And so when you make you cut these out of leather, you're actually going to cut the same. You don't flip this over and make a left and a right. You're going to cut the same because your leather will essentially be that, right? So you're going to have one this way, and then if you flip it over, it's going to be the same thing. So don't flip this. Only do your pattern from one side and do the same thing on the leather, so you can have the same design on opposite sides. The reason I did that is because if these were flip-flop, I would have the 2 verticals stacked and the 2 horizontals stacked. I said it right? Yeah. And I was trying to prevent that. So I kind of wanted just to, again, to create something different, something unique. And so it kind of gives it like a, I don't know what that is, like a canyon type of look there. But yeah, there it is. Pretty simple pattern. This is everything you really need to get this thing cut out. 7 3/4 by 7 inches. 3 1/4 by 7 inches, and then you'll have 3 1/4 by 7 inches, but you're going to have this little design on here. So let's get to cutting out some leather, and we'll let you know the tools that you'll need for this project. All right, so hodgepodge materials here. We're definitely going to be cutting. I need something to stitch. I have some Ritza tiger thread here. We're going to need some barge contact cement, scissors. I actually didn't skive any of this when I made it, and I kind of like it that way. I kind of want it to be thick, more substantial. With this smaller leather, I think I'm going to do the same. I'll still have it with me just in case. I did just buy this new edge beveler, which I am in love with. We'll see that in action too, because it's going to be awesome. I'm going to dye the edges. I do need to make a video on these. These are pretty awesome. Pretty inexpensive, and they have changed my edges for the best. Wing dividers. I'm going to definitely need that. I am punching with this cool, oh, I got a magnet on there. This cool Lucky Strike container. But I'm going to be punching with these 4mm diamond chisels. This is just a set I got from Tandy, but that's going to be going through. I like those 4mm. That's just a nice hardy stitch in there. If you have anything for edges, cool. If not, that's fine too. You can use a few things laying around. If you need, what else do I need? Some leather. That might be important. This is about 9 by 17 plus with a little bit of scraps in here, but my pattern kind of fit just perfectly. So need 2 of these, 2 of those, and then I'll have my panel. So I'm going to be able to use this up pretty well, which is exciting. It's also bad to see it go, but that means I can just buy some more. So let's get this rolled out and let's get it cut, and we'll start to build this thing. Alright, so this might be cutting a little close, but I got enough for 1, 2, and then 1, 2. That's how I'm planning to do it. I really like I get this little cool mark in there. It's not affecting anything on the back. Look how perfect that is. I got this from Rocky Mountain Leather Supply. They got some really nice, it's not cheap, but it's beautiful. Cuts well, works well, burnishes well. And I think it's going to patina very, very well. So I'm just tracing out 2 of each. And this one, you obviously don't have to flip because it's the same shape both sides, so it doesn't matter. I want to use as much as I can. I always want to make sure I'm not on an edge and I'm working into a piece that I've already cut or there's some little slice there. I actually started, you can see where I started my first. I cut that panel out and I almost included that right there. That would not have been good. Anyway, I moved it over, fixed it. We're all good. Let's see, and I'll give us enough there and there. All right. Got a new microphone. You guys let me know if I can be heard any better. I mumble a lot. I need to stop doing that. So my apologies. But hopefully the microphone can help with it. Hear this beautiful, sultry sound of my voice. Oh, shoot. I swear I had enough. There we go. That's where it was. Woo! I cut that one close. I almost came up. I know I measured it earlier. I came out right. Second guess myself. That would have been a small disaster. I would have had to put something real fresh in there. I don't know what. All right, get my last piece right here. We'll get this thing cut out and we'll start building. All right, I mentioned this earlier. I got a new little edge beveler. And the one I was using for years, I actually got from, I don't even know if I still have it over here. I actually got from like my original kit that I bought on Amazon. And it was a relatively, okay, it was a very cheap kit. This might have cost as much as the entire kit. But I will say, out of that kit, it's the one tool I almost could not use because it was so bad. So I ended up buying one. I got this from Buckle Guy. This is the number 1. And I want to say it's for leathers like 2.5 to 5, 3 to 5, somewhere like that. And I have loved it. My other one used to be real chunky, and I used to get just kind of would tear up the leather. But look how smooth this thing is here. I always see these videos. I'm like, turn it on like that. I mean, that is just, it's such a fine little piece. But they really, really did a good job. So I am very happy with my purchase. And yeah, it's changed. It's changed it for me for sure. That's all right. We're moving on up, and we're seeing sometimes you get what you pay for. Ooh, it's just so smooth. I mean, that's like hair coming off. So anyway, just doing this, and then I'm gonna get these. I need to do a little video on these markers that I got. I bought these hollow or empty, I guess. Hollow, not the best way to describe them. I got these markers here. Where's my brown one? And this has helped me with so much better control on my edges. So after after I do my edge beveling, I'll do front and back. But this has helped me to not ruin my side just because it's such a big, chunky, flat surface. So it really allows you to get pretty detailed in there. I use them for my watch bands. I use them for really everything. I use it on this original wallet that I did my little mock-up, and so it's gonna go great on this leather, and really goes well when you bevel the edges nicely. So just stepping up our game all the way around over here. But it helps prevent, staining on the back side or even going a little too heavy on the front, just because it is such a fine area that you have to work with, and it's nice and rigid. You can really get in there. You see what you're doing. It's not too small to where it's hard to work with. So, all right. So I got all these the edges done. I do something that I kind of do it subconsciously now. I usually do overcut when I'm going to be overlapping something. I try to overcut the one that will sit on top. The reason being, once I put these together, I want them to be perfect. So you see I got a little extra edge right there. I'm just going to nip that off just so they're going to be perfect. That way when I sit them on this panel, I don't have, when I'm trying to do my edge work, I don't have like a weird rippling effect in there. So I am, obviously this is going to be sewn down, and so I need to do these edges real quick because I won't be able to do it once I stitch it down. All right, so I got those. I used from here some Tokonol and just my slicker here. I did make, when I had these pins, I did make a little Tokonol pin. I haven't liked it quite as much, and the reason being, I'll try it now. Reason being is I mixed it with water to make sure it can come out of here. And I just don't know if it dumbs it down too much for me. So I kind of like the stickiness of the Tokonol itself. But sometimes what I'll do is start with this, and then if there's areas I don't like, I'll just go back over it with the actual Tokonol. But as far as speed, it's certainly quicker. Now that was with, I actually used those a lot on chrome tan, so maybe I didn't have as good as results, but this vegetable tan may just make me a believer. Ooh, you hear that noise, you know it, hold on. Yep, you know that noise. It means it's doing something. I mean, that's pretty, shoot. Well, maybe I'm not gonna, maybe I'm a believer. Just take some veg tan. So this is the part I can't get to once it's stitched, so that's why I'm just doing these edges now. All right, so now I'm gonna line these up. I am gonna scratch up, same height, might have to shrink it down. All right, I'm gonna shrink that down a little bit. And then clean these edges up, but I'm just gonna scratch. Let me make a light mark there. Underneath that, I'm going to just scratch up this leather just to create some roughness for this to stick to. So you'll just see I just measured right there, and then this side I can go all the way up because I know this is going to cover all the way. So I'm just going to start scratching here, create a little, I don't have a rougher, so I got to make my own. Sometimes use sandpaper. If I can find a small enough piece to place on like a stick or a popsicle stick or something like that, sometimes I'll just use that. But use barge for a while now. It hasn't let me down yet, so I'll keep using it until it does. again, I want these to line up exact. Anything else, I want to overhangs. That way I can cut it off and make them perfect. So, and all we're going to do is this, and then we're going to repeat the same exact thing on the other side. Look at this. Boys over here thinking. I usually use about 1/8 of an inch for my stitch line. So that's all I really do for, and this stuff sticks pretty well. Once you burnish and stitch it and all that, it's generally locked down for good. All right, I'm gonna let those sit. I'll connect them, and then I'm gonna get to doing the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so this portion, what I did is I went up 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. Reason I did that is that's what my normal stitch line is going to be. So I want this normal stitch line coming across here, hit there, and work its way over. So I want it to be consistent. That way I'm not having this end and then 2 more stitches down here, or I have to have some wonky little stitching down there. So I start there, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ended up doing 8. I didn't do an overlap there. I guess you could do either way, but I'm going to end this across here and across here. And so I'll start at the top. You're just going to thread this just as you would. You're going to have 2 needles. I'm going to go inside both here and then just pull these evenly across. All right. Now I'm going to cross them over in the back, and then I'm going to come out the front. So I'm just going to swap sides and then come out the front over here. And then carry it right on over and bring it out the back side again. All right, so I'm going to do the same here. Carry this one over. Make sure you get all your other stuff out of the way. There you go. You want that pretty tight. You don't want to just really pull too bad on it. There you go. All right, so from there, I'm going to come out that top hole again, but this time, so I'm going to cross over on my back side here. If you can see, here is, came out this way. I'm going to cross over out the front on the other side. And then, let's get harder to pull. I'm going to come and do a cross on this side. So I'm crossing over to the other side, and it's going to end up in the back. So same thing with my second side. I'm coming back over to this side. If I didn't, then my stitch would fall out. So, all right, and then I'm going to come down across and over the top. All right, so we can start our little cross there. We have our lock stitch there, and now we're starting to cross over. Now what I want to do is I want to be consistent. I want this piece to come to the right on top every time. So I want to start, here's how the back looks now. Same thing, we got one coming out of each hole. And what I'll do is cross from this side to this side. So here we go again. Crossing from this side, get this one out of the way. So I'm crossing over. So I'm coming from the left and working my way back over to the right. It's going to come out of that hole. And then I'm going to go down. All right. And now, just as I wanted, I'm going to come back across. Remember, the same hole. I'm going across from here to here. I'm going to come out this way. And then I'm going to go right back over the top of that way. I'm going to have a consistent. Now, could you do it the other way? Sure. But it's going to look way more consistent, and it'll be a little bit prettier if you keep noticing the stitch on the same. If you cross those up, it's not going to be the end of the world, but just try to stay consistent whenever you're doing a stitch like this. So we'll continue on here, and you're going to continue the same process, and then you'll lock the bottom the same way you did here. You're just going to do two folds over, tie a knot in the back, stitch it, burn it, or knot it and burn it. But I'm just going to continue on here. Um, all right, so I got to the end. So you kind of see how the back looks. You end up getting a straight line because you're crossing over the same one and then going down on the other side. So um, this is a really cool stitch. I really, really like it. I'm glad I incorporated it in here. One thing I didn't mention, I used 8 lengths. So 1, 2, 3, just 8 lengths that way of my thread. And I think I'm going to end up, I'll still have quite a bit left, but not a ton. So that's probably about a right measurement. You could probably get away with 6 or 7. But I went with 8. I'll have a little bit of excess, and that's fine. So I end up this way. I got one coming out of each hole. One piece of thread coming out of each hole here. And what I'm going to do is cross them over and just go straight back across in the front. So I'm basically going to be pulling them. Now I'm going to have each one coming out of the front. So I cross them in the back, and then I'm going to cross them back over in the front to create a knot, or basically a lock like that. So I'll put it on the other side here. I'll do that one more time. I could probably end it here, but I'll do it one more time just because I want it to be nice and sturdy. And then I'll just tie it off in the back, and we shall be done. We'll have to do the same thing on the other side. Repeat the same thing, and we are on our way to getting this wallet done. I really wanted to do this with some kind of a brighter color, but for the sake of this and that it's going in my Etsy shop, I'm just going to have it nice and brown there. So that's a pretty good skill in there. But anyway, that looks great. We're going to get this thing done on the other side and then get it attached and start building. All right, so here's where we are. We're in the home stretch. I'm just going to attach these, clean anything up. I already got my edges worked on. And then what I'm going to do on my original here, I actually stitched across. It's a little bit thicker. On this one, I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to actually come over the edge on either, and I'm going to stop. So I'm not doing here. But you can see this one is much thinner than that guy. And I'm really liking the look of it. This leather is really, really nice. I just think this is a cool little accent. But anyway, I'm going to secure this down, contact cement, and then I'm going to start my stitch line from this edge right here and work this way, and then that one, and work that way. That way we have a stitch that we can work with right here in the middle, and that will just continue on in a nice straight line. So I'm going to continue over, and then I'll loop over one here, work my way back, and then so I'll stitch each of these panels individually on. So then I'll come over here, do the same thing. But yeah, we're getting close. I think this is going to turn out really, really nice. All right, so I punched my holes here. Again, I used a 4mm diamond chisel. And that leaves me something I wanted to correct from my little mock-up here. You can see here, this is what I didn't like, and this is the reason why I chose to put it where I tried to do it the first one, but I completely bypassed it when I was stitching. So it creates, it's not hideous, but it creates a little deviation in your stitch line on the outside if you don't connect the two. So you can see I did my cross stitch here, but then I ended up there as opposed to ending in the same line. So I wanted to make sure this time I actually got it in there, which I did. So what I did was I just started from that point and worked my way over, and it brings me to here, and then I can just do a single on the outside, and then it also splits. Now this is a 4mm based on these measurements. It splits right where I wanted it to, overlapping here and then overlapping here for just the single. So that's something, again, I corrected from my original mock-up. This one's going to be mine, so it doesn't necessarily matter, but it helped me to get there. And something with patterns, once you make them, once you make this, and I'm going to make this and sell this in my Etsy shop, I want to be able to reproduce this. So I want my patterns to be something that, one, is going to save me time later. I took the time to make it now, but it's something that I certainly want to make sure later on I'm going to be able to just replicate and make some new leather wallets very easily and very quickly. And I want to make sure all my spacing is to where I like it. And so this was a big change for me here, and I want to certainly continue to do that for just a nice clean stitch line there. So we'll get this stitched up and then we'll work on these edges. But again, that's a 4mm, and then you can kind of see the corrections in there based on my previous mistakes. All right, if you need some help stitching, I just finished it up. What I did was kind of remake my previous video teaching how to stitch, but I'm actually going to teach both of these stitches. So this one I'm going to keep on the video, and then this stitch here I'm going to make sure the saddle stitch I'm just going to put its own video, because I had a horrible video when I first started YouTube, and I just want to remake it. So I remade it with this one just because I was going to be doing both stitches, and I'm going to add both of those to it. But I am stitched all the way where I need to. It's looking really, really good. I'm just looking to finish these edges now. So I'll sand down what I can, make sure I'm cutting off, make sure it's all even, and then I'm going to use my little die markers here. I really like these. I can be really accurate, and I've already done the bevel the edges here, so it should go pretty easily. But I'm just gonna sand this down, dye those edges, get some token all on them, and this is gonna be fun. Alright, so I finished up this one side, and this is just after one round of sanding, tokenol, and dye, and man, this is gonna look good. I'm gonna even these up both sides same way, make it all look uniform, and this is gonna be a butte, and this is gonna be the one that I'm actually probably gonna have to take photography for and list in my shop. So it'll be available in my Etsy shop whenever I am through. And this is gonna be a new listing and a new offering from my shop because I wanted something different. And I think that's gonna do the trick. I love that. I love that. I don't know why, but I do. Anyway, I'm gonna finish this thing up, and we're gonna have us a nice new project.